All right, good evening, everybody. We are going to call this regular school board meeting to order. Sharon, roll call.
Dubay?
Here.
Crotts? Here. Leathers?
Here.
McAllister? Here. Sorensen?
Here.
Young? Here. Zilke?
Here.
All right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I give a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Motion by Don, second by Carol. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. I always get to feel so formal when I come over here to present. And it's not very often that I get to do it 2 months in a row, so this is kind of unique. Tonight we get to honor our outgoing board member, Evan Sorensen, who has served for the last 4 years. Thank you so much for your time, your commitment, and your energy that you've put into Austin Public Schools for the last 4 years. Thank you for your commitment to safety and security. I know that was something that you've been passionate about the entire time that you've been on this board. So we are so thankful for the voice that you've given to that space for us. And we just wish you the best as you move forward. I have a gift for you. It's an app. It's your name and the years that you served.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much. Chair Dubay, Superintendent Page, and members of the board, citizens of Austin. It's been an honor and pleasure serving the students, staff, administration, Superintendent Page, and the citizens of Austin. Some of the highlights over the last 4 years have been one of the first things that I was a part of was hiring Dr. Page. It was a pretty exciting time to get onto the board, and we all think that was a good decision, so I hope you're here for a while. We had some challenges closing out COVID, navigating the financial challenges through that challenge. I thought we did a really good job, and the budget stayed where it should be when we were searching for money. So we were part of redistricting the boundaries in Austin. We brought kindergarten back to local schools. We passed a bond referendum that we desperately needed. And we also we accomplished several goals that we can all be proud of. Observing the democratic process on a local level has been enlightening, and it was great to be a part of it. It's incredible to see all the work that's done behind the scenes that the community doesn't see, the staff doesn't see, the administration and all the board work that we do, that we try and accomplish goals that are ultimately for the good of the students. Finally, thank you to my wife, kids, and my family for all the support you've given me with late meetings and running kids around when I haven't been available. The community is in great hands with the district moving forward, and the current board and the future board. As an alumni of the class of 2004 of Austin, never thought I'd be in a position like this, and it's been a wonderful experience and something I'm never going to forget. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and I'm always proud to be a Packer.
reports. All right. We are going to jump right into our next agenda item, which is our fall activities review with Activities Director Katie Carter.
Good evening, Board Chair Dubay, Dr. Page, members of the board, and guests. Thank you for having us for our annual fall activities review. As you can see, I brought some friends with me tonight that will be able to talk about their programs in a little bit more detail than I will be able to. It was a busy fall. We had a lot of great things happening. The first thing we're gonna roll right into is our one activity that actually had an event during the fall. Our theater program is directed by Kim Potter. This year we had 21 registrations. I don't know if that included the stage crew and all that, but we had the fall musical Cinderella. That was actually out at Riverland this year because we were having we needed some updates at the Ellis Auditorium. And what I love about Kim is that just the theater community, they're all connected. You know, Ellis, Austin High, Matchbox, Riverland, they all work in partnership, and that just is those resources together really give us a great opportunity to put on some spectacular performances for you guys. Our musical director for this program was Kim Zerke, and now I'm gonna invite up Kim to talk a little bit about Cinderella.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Page and extended guests. My name is Kim Potter, and I am still the AHS Theater Director. I came to share highlights of our fall activities. I wrote everything down because we do so much that I will forget. This year I changed the format since last year it was difficult for many of our students to pay for 3 different activities fees, being in 2 shows and in drama club. So this year I am using our email group as our drama club, where I can post different events, opportunities, and encouragement throughout the year. That list is up to 75 students who have not asked to be removed from the group. They want to participate even if they can't commit to a show. My fun start was with More Than Pink this summer. I have been a presenter with them since it started, but this year I decided to use what I've learned in this position to give back and actually have the group read and perform a skit in Crisco. It was well received, and I still have little ones catching up and saying, "I'm doing theater class at Ellis. Is that so fun?" It's always good to advertise. Our group fun started this summer when we were asked once again to participate in Austin Artworks the weekend before school started. We had a great group do some short skits, and it was well received. Rhonda Regan, the Ellis director, and I had the opportunity to travel up to the cities and investigate a group in Chaska that was having a costume sale, and we scored big. We were excited to share new costumes with Austin and the surrounding areas. We also did the same with Albert Lee Community Theater because they were downsizing. So we are ready for the next few years with fresh materials you haven't seen before. Kim Zerke and I held auditions the first week of school. We needed at least 12 people, and we ended up with 20 showing up. I knew I might not have as many since this is a princess show, but this is a classic that is near and dear to my heart. So we began rehearsal the next week, also changing the format, so tech was Monday and Friday, actors came Tuesday through Thursday, which allowed them more flexibility in their nightly commitment. As requested by the students after last year's debriefing, we also changed the time to be 6:30 to 8:30, which also allowed them to get food, homework done, etc., and not feel rushed. Also, as requested by cast and crew, they requested a longer run time, so we had more opportunities to rehearse than the fine tuning, since we have MEA, PD, holidays, everything early on. Unfortunately, as Katie said, midway through our rehearsal, we were notified that the Ellis light system was no longer working and could not be fixed due to age. It will need to be replaced, which is going to take time. This was disheartening to our cast because Cinderella is magical. Using a couple of spotlights and flashlights, we just weren't sure that that was going to give the quality production that we wanted to share. So I began reaching out to our tremendous theater communities to brainstorm and gather ideas. Ultimately, just swinging in to visit with John Dio and Randy Forrester from Somerset and Riverland. They happened to be chatting. I gave them the scenario and asked for ideas, companies that we could possibly rent lights from. They were in the middle of their musical Carrie at Riverland, and without missing a beat, John said, "When is your show?" And I said, "November 22nd through 24th. He said, "Why don't you just come here?" What? initial reaction. I reassured and said it again, what? I nodded, and I think I tried not to cry. So we began making our plans, what needed to be moved, how many, how we could make this manageable and efficient, and get the volunteers we needed. We had many hands to help. We moved over on November 6th using a trailer borrowed from Mr. Dundas. We got everything over there and began reassembling our stage. We worked many hours, but also had some college theater students show up and help us too. It truly was a community event. Our production ran November 22nd through 24th, with attendance being our biggest we have seen since we started 3 years ago. Little ones came dressed up in princess dresses. They were screaming and clapping as Cinderella completed her quick change and magically came through the carriage. The pictures with Cinderella and the fairy godmother afterwards were priceless. You would have thought they were at Disney. We did have a successful show, but during our run, we were also invited to have some princesses attend a Make-A-Wish event at Pizza Ranch, and we were invited to dress up as Harry Potter characters for Sweet Greets downtown for a trick-or-treat event this year. The community wants to see our students in their element, being themselves while playing characters, having fun and enjoying their high school experience. I'm glad we can provide so many options for our theater students. Thank you.
Rolling into fall athletics, first up we have volleyball. We had 61 participants this year, it was up 13 from last year. We still have 5 levels of play with varsity, JV, B squad, and then the 9A and 9B teams. Our head coach is Michelle Gabrielson, and she was also selected as the Section 1 3A co-coach of the year. Her assistants this year at the JV level were Chelsea Rolsma, B squad was Gabby Drews, and our 9th grade coaches were Bree Nelson and Kylie Deschane. Varsity, they had the best record they've had since 2009, so it was a really good year. We had 2 all-conference and 1 all-conference honorable mention, and now I will invite Michelle on to talk a little bit more about volleyball.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Page. Thank you everybody for having me to talk about volleyball a little bit. So this was my first season, I say back home at Austin Packer Volleyball. I am a grad, and on that 2009 team that we did finally beat our record. And so I just have a few of our highlights this year to share with you guys. So we finished the season with a 17-13 record, which was the first winning season since I was a senior on the team, so that was really fun to watch happen. We won the first tournament since 2008, so this year we won the St. Anthony Village Tournament, which was only the second time in program history that a varsity team has won a tournament for Austin Packer Volleyball, which was awesome. This one's my favorite award of the entire season. I always stress that players are student athletes first, and there's a reason that word student comes first. And so this year the team achieved the Minnesota Team Gold Academic Award, so getting a team cumulative GPA of 3.75 and higher. And so that's, like I said, that's my favorite award. All through the season I tell my team, you know, if they're behind on tests, if they have missing work, that it's absolutely okay to be late to practice and go and take care of that stuff before they come to practice. And a lot of girls really utilize that and would make up tests or retake tests to make sure that we could achieve that. And I think that's, like I said, my favorite award, because we really have to have students before we can have athletes. And so they need to take care of in the classroom before we can take care of what we need to on the court. Some other individual awards, so we had Academic All-State was Leah Jo Adamson as a senior. Our Big Night Scholar Awards were Hallie Holman and Leah Jo as well. All-Conference was Quinn Osgold and Addison Walsh. Quinn achieved over 300 kills in a single season, and Addie Walsh had over 500 digs in a single season. We also had All-Conference honorable mention Isabella Bolster. She had over 200 kills in a single season. We had 13 letter winners. I just want to thank my awesome coaching staff. They do a wonderful job at helping build the program as well as supporting our student athletes. And then I want to thank all of our fans and our wonderful student section and fans. We had tons of support this year, which was really awesome. The fan section goes a long way in making sure the girls have energy and momentum on the court. So just thank you to everybody.
Moving on to cross country, boys and girls cross country. This year, this is a program where it goes 7-12, so we do have Ellis students involved in our high school programming. Boys, we had 19 from Austin High and 7 from Ellis. And we were up 4 with the boys at the high school level, and we were up 1 at the middle school level. For girls, we had 11 at Austin High and 14 at Ellis. Up 2 from the girls at high school, and up 9 at the middle school for cross-country runners. We had varsity and JV levels. This year, we made a switch. Tony Enertson is not the sole coach anymore. Him and Robin DeGlavin have turned into co-head coaches for the program, and they are assisted by Henry Hinchcliffe and Ruben Perez. They had 2 all-conference, 1 all-conference honorable mention, 1 state participant, Marissa Shute, and then girls did reach academic gold and boys were academic silver. So to talk a little bit more, we have Tony Enertson with us. Did I give it all away?
Well, so I'm going to be very short because it's all right there. Lord, thank you. Evan, don't feel any age at all when one of your athletes, I think 2004, when you graduated? 2004, started here in 97, so he was one of the first, kind of ones that came through for me, but when they start being on the board and then being off of the board, and I'm still here. You're making me feel so young. Getting closer to that retirement age, but not quite there
You
yet.
just don't age, Tony. You're timeless.
I'm trying. Number-wise, can't be more excited about what's happening with our numbers as the group. We were up here, several athletes for the both boys and the girls. Girls program is actually the largest girls program we've had since I've been here, when we combine our junior high. We also had 6th graders that are part of the program that do spend a little bit of time with us, and our junior high coach does a great job with those. Coach Perez, Coach Hinchcliffe, again, another athlete that I had. Nice to have those Henry on board with that. Season-wise, as you can see, Marissa Shute qualified for the state tournament. This was her 4th time she's qualified for the state tournament. I believe she's the 3rd person that has done that through Austin High through the cross-country program. Marissa, Thomas Asmus, and Sydney Lewis also were all-conference. They also were academic all-state as well, which is a huge honor for those athletes. Kind of what our program kind of lives by is we always kind of tell them that we've got really kind of 2 goals that we have. We want to make them lifelong learners, and we want to make lifelong runners. The district goal is lifelong learners. We've got the goal of lifelong runners, and we always want to make them, feel like they're part of the team, especially when we've got these younger kids that are involved. And a lot of the things that we get sometimes, the apprehension of some of those junior high parents coming in is they're a little bit worried that we've got these juniors and seniors that are there. And what we always tell them is that, they went through it too. They know how to treat the kids. They bring the kids right, and they kind of show them, kind of our way of doing things. And I couldn't be more proud of the group of leaders that we had this year, and the successful season. Kind of looking forward to what's going to happen up in the years coming. So thank you very much.
All right, next up is football. Just some stats before Coach Schmidt gets up here. We had 91 registrations this year at the beginning of the season. That is up 21 from last year. Varsity and JV levels, head coaches Ed Schmidt, his assistants were Mark Winkles, Tom Compton, Lyle Allen, Blake Harris, Jesse Sinneground, Tate Hebrink, Hunter Anderson, and James Trevino. We have 2 all-district and 2 all-district honorable mention. Remember, we don't have a conference anymore for football as it is, they have realigned differently in how we do football. But to talk a little bit more about the program, Coach Schmidt.
Dr. Page, school board members, thanks for letting us do this, and if you have questions, you can always text or call or email or whatever you have. So this season had several ups and downs. Obviously, the email went to all of you with our last game and the tough decision we had to make with forfeiting our last game. Like I said at the banquet, hopefully we never have to go through that situation again. Took a lot the last 2 games were tough. They were tough in deciding, do we play, do we throw in the towel? Katie and I, we had long talks about that kind of a thing, and again, it was ups and downs. When I say, those are the downs. The ups are, a lot of players got playing time, which players that, I mean, one of our honorable mentions this year, a hockey player that came out for his first year and made all district honorable mentions. So those are the upside. You do have the positives in there. And that was the great thing about, you know, one thing I'll say about the other coaches is no one quit. No one ever gave up. No one complained or, you know, just threw their own towel in. We coached as hard as we could, and we did week in, week out. Like Katie said, 91 players that registered, that's 9 through 12. We do continue to work to build the program, because football is a numbers game. You know, when we had injuries and, you know, we have a junior, senior go down, we're typically replacing with a sophomore, where a lot of bigger schools, I shouldn't say bigger schools, because we're one of the biggest schools in our section. But when Cass and Byron have more players than you, they have more to pick from and maybe throw in another junior or senior. Hopefully next year, if all the players come back, we return 19 juniors, 23 sophomores, and 19 freshmen. I believe the 8th graders had 20 plus players this year, so we're hoping that we can bring them in. Typically what I like to do in the springtime with those 8th graders is we have, like, this time of year is signing day for football in college. So they have the big letter of intent, they sign, they take pictures. I like to go over to Ellis and with 8th graders and do the same thing where they sign a letter of intent to play football with us, try to take pictures and throw them on Twitter and have them see that, and their families can see that. Throughout this season, we had 26 season-ending injuries. That was part of the email. 9 broken bones, 9 soft tissue injuries, 8 concussions. Now some of the broken bones are fingers, so don't it's a physical sport, and some of it is fingers. Knock on wood. I mean, that's a concern, obviously. Also, a huge concern for us was the academic issues that we had and the ineligible players. At one time during the season, out of those 91 players, we had 21 that were academically ineligible, and I don't think we're asking that much to be eligible to play. There were times on bus trips where the coaches, the JV coaches, were going down the aisle for them to look at their portal to see if they had passed the class, if they could play that day. And again, it's just something that we don't want to go through all the time. End of the season, we had 13 ineligible to play, and that was another reason we had to forfeit. In light of that, myself and 3 other coaches here at the high school, we're piloting a new program to aid the development and support of our student athletes within the school. This program will focus on academics, attendance, behaviors in the classroom, and goal setting. We're going to take a proactive approach to help our student athletes improve themselves. We as coaches will meet with those individuals on our list every 2 weeks for the rest of the school year. So it's just extra support. It's not, you know, we as football coaches don't sit there and say you have to do this just for football. This is for life. This is for every sport they play in their career here at Austin High School, but this is for life. And that's what we want to let you know about. When I say the Skyway Platinum District, it doesn't have the same Big 9 ring to it, so it's still tough getting used to that. So the Skyway Platinum District, Isaac Anderson was honorable mention all district, he's a junior. Hunter Tapia was honorable mention all district, he's a senior. Rob Lillis was all district as a junior, and Samuel Winkles was all district. And Samuel played 7 games, he got hurt, broke 3 ribs, and then couldn't play the last game. But Samuel had 108 tackles in 7 games. So, about 15 tackles per game. You know, he's a stud. He's a great student. He's a great athlete, great person overall. So we look forward to what he's going to do at St. Cloud State since he signed there for wrestling. And look forward to Rob and hopefully Isaac Anderson coming back next year and make us proud. Some of our off-season things that we do, weight room opportunities before and after school. We also have a speed and agility in the dome that will start in January, and that's 2 times per week for 8 weeks, so they have 16 more opportunities to, and you know, that's for all athletes, it's not just football players, so if there's anybody in track that wants to, you know, do some speed agility drills, we will be there, and they can do that 45 minutes to an hour, and then throw the football around a little bit. And then, the last thing I have here is our weight room attendance is where we really need to improve. Like I said, football is a physical sport, but this is gonna help the student athlete be stronger, faster, help with injury prevention and not injury recovery, and also it's proven to help with mental health. So I did play a little evil fib on the kids. When Mrs. Carter was there, we were talking about the forfeiting, and as I was talking, I just said, listen, I just got a box in the office with a bunch of pills in there. And you can take one pill a day, and it's gonna make you faster, stronger, helps with injury prevention and recovery, and help your mental health. Not a steroid, but who here wants to take it? And almost everybody raised their hand. And I said, that pill's called the weight room. And it's there for you every single day. So we need to get to the weight room. If you want those things, it's there for you. So hopefully we're taking advantage of that. I know right now the numbers aren't great, but we will, probably after Christmas break, start to get on that a little bit more. So hopefully these numbers improve. And again, hopefully we're not forfeiting any games in the near future. Thanks for your time.
I'm gonna skip ahead to cheer and then go back to swim and dive. Our cheer team is coached by Cassidy Bajor, and she's assisted by Elena Mosier. And they had 23 registrations this year, and she's gonna talk a little bit about what they did this year.
Hello everyone, thank you for having us here. Again, my name is Cassidy Bajor, and I'm our cheerleading coach. This is my second year here at Austin High. This year we had a young squad talent-wise, but they really did absorb like sponges, and they were eager and excited to learn, which was really exciting. Even with not a lot of experience, we continued to improve, and we were on the same level that we were as last year, and even improved in our stunts. And we had a larger team than last year, so that was exciting coming in as a newer coach and with newer athletes. And we did have a lot of seniors trying out, which was nice, because they were here like to show school pride. And so I had a couple of girls literally recruiting, like, come cheer, come cheer, come cheer. And so we had like a large group of seniors, also a large group of freshmen that did have a lot of talent, and they added a lot to the team. We were able to purchase new uniforms this year with the help of the athletic department, so that was great. We were in need of that, and so they were able to look nice and show out in those. They were very excited, even though they came towards the end of the season. But we got them eventually. We did have to go through a couple captains this year, but the ones that we ended up with at the end, it does take a lot. A lot of people don't realize everything that goes into cheerleading. It is a sport and it's a lot, and the ones that we had, they were younger, but they were really excited and they really took on the challenge, and they were asking me, hey, what can we do better? What can we do this? So that was really great to see in our captains. The team was really positive this year, and they truly acted like a family. No matter what was happening on the field, they continued to support. We continued to show our skills. We continued to have a good time, you know, even though it's not all about a skirt and a bow. And they're learning that and recognizing that, and I think people are starting to pick up and honor that. Even with that, we received a lot of positive feedback. We were interviewed by the Daily News. We were shown on TV multiple times. I had people from, you know, different cities and counties reaching out to me. I even had a couple colleges reaching out, you know, asking us. We had a recruiter there one game, and asking to come join them at some other college camps. So that's good. You know, cheerleading, it's getting bigger here and it's getting recognized. But even with that, I also try to coach them into just being like good students and leaders in our community. You know, you're a cheerleader. So just having them stand out, and it is a high responsibility that I expect. We were able to cheer for the kickball team. Coach Carter asked us to do that this year, so that was fun at the kickball game for homecoming. Even with the little change in walking from the school over here, so just new activities that we're able to be involved in and kind of like had that charge is fun. We continue to plan to stay involved and cheering for a couple of the basketball games, any pep rallies that go on. We're here to support. We're here to continue to grow the program and get better. So thank you for having us.
Our last of the coaches that are here, and then the other coaches that are not here, they emailed me stuff to read on their behalf. Girls swim and dive. I think I'm gonna probably let Alexa talk about most of the bullets that are on here, but we did have 45 registrations, which was the same as last year. So we stayed pretty level, varsity and JV levels. Co-coaches for girls swim and dive as well, Alexa Joan Peterson and Ryan Kelly. And then Annalise Anderson, she's our diving coach, and she was named Section 1A Dive Coach of the Year for the second year in a row. And Alexa and Ryan are assisted by Amanda Hemery and Tyler Myers. So with that said, I will let her come up and talk about their season.
Thank you for having me. If you look at some of those bullet points, you can tell we had a stellar season. We had some ups and downs along the way. Ryan and I are always looking to improve ourselves and in turn improve our team. I'm gonna echo a little bit of what Tony Enertson said. We have a 7th grade through 12th grade, or actually 6th grade through 12th grade program. That gets to be a little dicey when you're trying to make a team, as Anita can attest to. She was part of that, but it needs to be a focus. It can't just be get kids in the water and, go from August to November. And so Ryan and I really put some time and effort into selecting our captains, kind of laying out our expectations and the need to build team. We have 45 participants this year. For the next couple of years, our numbers look good, and then after that, we graduate a lot of kids after, 2 years, this year's sophomores. We need our sport and people in the community to understand that swimming and diving is hard, but it's also fun, and we welcome everybody. And so we worked on that throughout the year. The 10 seniors we had, 5 captains we had, really helped kind of catapult us into the successes that we had in the middle and end of the season. We worked hard, they pushed each other. We infused fun into some of the practices. They had Barbie practices where a lot of people wore pink. And it was a hard set we did, but they, the wearing pink and the having some fun with it made it doable, and they looked forward to it instead of shying away from it. During the section practices, the divers weren't there one day because they came in the morning, and so they had this idea of, can we bring in glow sticks and turn off the lights? That was one of the highlights of the section team season. Came back over and over and over again at the banquet. So, a few glow sticks and turn off some lights, and there you go. So it was fun. And if those things work and give us the results that we got, I'm willing to do those year in and year out. So, but if you look at some of these things, we end up kind of in the middle of the Big 9 in terms of dual meets and the Big 9 meet itself, where we are competing against the 3 Rochester schools, Northfield. Those are all much bigger schools than we are. But we walked away from there with good experience. Diver Elena Kennedy won that meet. Reese Norton, I believe, was second. And then we walked away with our 4 all-conference sections. It was Elena, Reese, Gracie Greenman as a swimmer who won the backstroke, and then Abby Boyson as well. So that was good. Moving on to our section meet, I'm gonna go to True Team. That was a fun meet for us. True Team is different than other championship meets where championship meets, usually your top 16 varsity swimmers compete in the finals and actually have a chance to score. True Team, everybody who finishes legally scores. And so at that meet, we talked this up to the kids. We're like, this is a great kind of no stress meet to give it your all, take a risk, go out harder than you think you can. They did that. And they were 3rd as a team. They got a trophy. I have never seen so much jumping up and down and cheering for themselves. It was really, really fun to see. That had not happened for quite a few years for us as a team. So that was really, really fun. Our divers for that one, they participated on a different day for a True Team, but I think overall, I wrote down they scored 117 points for us just in that one meet because the 4 divers all finished top 20. So their points helped get us to where we were. Moving on to our section meet at the end of the year, which is our state qualifying meet as well. We entered day 1 of sections with that hype of, you guys have been working since August for this. And They were in their tech suits, the fancy ones that Olympians wear, and they were ready. But at that point, we have to kind of, as coaches, let them go and calm their nerves and tell them to go get it. And we had 40 swims, day one. 35 of them were either lifetime best or season best, and if you do the math, that's 88% of our swims that day were best. At one point, Ryan and I looked at each other, we're like, what's going on? And it just kept going and going, and, you know, by the time we got done with that day, we just looked and we're like, that couldn't have gone any better. So, and of those 40 swims, top 2 heats or top 16 kids come back for day 2. We had almost half of our kids coming back, and that was another number that we had not seen for years. So that's all, you know, Ryan and I write it down on paper, we tell them to swim back and forth. But they put the work in and they saw the results at the end. At that meet, we had, again, Elena won sections, Reese was second. Gracie Greenman during that day 1 of sections, she blew her sister, Lindsay Lucas's IM record off the board, and had fun taking the record off the board the next day. That was fun to watch. And then she also improved her backstroke record time, so she was one that had just phenomenal swims. Day 2, Anita, our new 100 butterflyer, she qualified for that meet. That was a fun one because that was a new kind of swim outside your comfort zone, try something new. She did that along with a lot of other people and just swam really well, ended really well, had a fun end to our season. And then we sent off our 3 state qualifiers, Elena, Reese, and Gracie, to the state meet. They had goals and they met them. I figure at state I'm kind of that emotional, just that keep your emotions in check, I'll get you where you need to be, I'll keep you fed, and then go do you. Elena won. Reese had a kind of a shaky day 1, was in 15th place, moved up to 12th, and then finished the last day in 5th, which was a place up from the year before. So she was very happy with that, and I was glad for them because they were both seniors. So it's nice to have them reach goals that they had set for themselves. Gracie kept it together. She was up there swimming 2 events this year. Last year it was just 1. She came back day 2 for her IM and placed 14th. And then one goal for her was to beat a Northfield swimmer that she's been competing against for years. And in the backstroke, she moved up a place. She was in 2nd place, finished in 2nd, and beat the Northfield girl. So, and improved her time again. So, no, it was fun. It was a good season. As a team, it was fun. They cheered each other on. It was hard. It can be hard, but it's also fun at the same time. So that's a message that we want to keep preaching. We want people to know that they're welcome from 6th grade all the way up to 12th grade. And that group of seniors helped along the way, all 10 of them. They will be missed, but they left great work ethic that the other kids have seen, that hopefully that teams in the future will remember. So I thank you for your time.
Okay, girls soccer, we had 41 registrations this year. That was up by 5 from last year. We have 2 levels for high school girls soccer, varsity and JV. We had 1 all-conference, 1 honorable mention. Our head coach is Amber Roche, and her assistants are Monica Vargas, Stephanie Kittredge, and Emma Gormans. And Amber emailed this to me just to read on her behalf. They started the season with a scrimmage against the St. Paul school. Their best match was against Worthington, where they scored 7 goals. 1 athlete scored a hat trick, and we had 3 athletes get their first varsity goals. This year, the girls team had growth in our statistic performances. We focused on possession, passing combinations, and shot opportunities. We went from under 40% possession of the ball to 57% possessions in our games. From 2 passing combinations to our average of 5 passing combinations. We also had an increase in our shot opportunities this season and even scored 2 goals in our section game. The Big Nine has a lot of competitive teams, and girls soccer really focused on each game to improve and get better. Although we didn't have a winning record, we had very competitive matches against Faribault, Red Wing, and Albert Lee, and showed improvements on our stats. Off the field, the girls had opportunities for community and team building. One of their greatest memories this season was getting a coach bus to their Worthington game and celebrating with pizza dinner at Greenville. We also had an outdoor movie night at Westcott, a successful fundraising car wash, and weekly competitions at practice. So that was girls soccer. Boys soccer, 75 registrations, up by 1 from last year. We have 3 levels, varsity, JV, and 9th grade. We had 3 all-conference, 1 all-conference, honorable mention. Head coaches Jens Leveson, assistants are Ryan Mayers, Gilberto Sanchez, and Jesus Alvarez. Jens emailed me, and he had this to say. We had a number of highs and lows throughout the season. We had games where we played really well and showed that we could compete with the top teams in the conference. We also had games where most of the varsity team was injured, unrelated to the season but related to high school soccer. Through United Soccer Coaches, Jens was awarded a grant to host a course. On Saturday, December 7th, we had 14 coaches that are involved with the high school and junior high boys and girls soccer teams participate in a regional diploma course. They spend 3 hours in the classroom and another 3 in the dome. U.S. Soccer Coaches staff that came up from Kansas City and Omaha did a fantastic job educating and challenging our coaches. This is the first time we've been able to host a course of this level in the 20 years he's been in Austin. He's excited to see how coaches use this experience moving forward. And then our final fall sport is girls tennis. This year we have 21 registrations. That was the same as last year. Varsity and JV levels, we had 2 academic all-state. Girls tennis earned the academic gold. Head coach is Jeff Anderson and the assistant is Mark Henderson. Jenna Hetzel and Peyton Nelson were our academic all-state. And girls tennis, we are moving to a 3-class system next year, so they're adding a 3rd class to tennis, which will be good from a competitive standpoint because it's just going to rearrange some of the levels. And we do have the opportunity to try to realign and maybe go down to a smaller division, but we'll see how that goes. So that's tennis. Pep band, we had a really good fall pep band. We had 93 participants, up 11 from last year. The director is Christoph Dundas and his assistant is Ethan Whitkin. He had this to say about pep band. Gotta find it. Here it is. Fall pep band had a fairly typical season. Students performed at 4 football games, 3 in the stands and on the field at homecoming, and marched in the homecoming parade. Pep band also performed at 2 soccer games and 1 home soccer playoff game. Band quickly adapted to this year's homecoming changes and students greatly appreciated the modified parade route that ends at the high school rather than having to walk back from Riverside. This year's the beginning of the post-pandemic rebuild for Austin High School Band. Our current 10th through 12th graders were middle schoolers during the peak of the pandemic, which led to fewer students starting band and more students dropping out before high school in those grades. Unfortunately, this means that the impact of the pandemic for the band program lasts for 7 to 8 years. Last year was the bottom of high school band enrollment, which has had a big effect on our extracurricular band ensembles. However, this year we have a strong post-pandemic 9th grade class and enrollment is beginning to climb. So that was pep band for the year. I started a new group this year called the Bleacher Captains. These are 15 seniors who applied at the end of last spring. They had to fill out a Microsoft form with their interest and tell me why they would be, worthy of a bleacher captain spot. And this group is super fun to work with. We meet monthly and we just talk about how can we increase the fan experience, how can we welcome the visitors, how can we be supportive, and they've really taken off. I mean, they have jobs. Some are in charge of the themes, some are in charge of social media. They just are really focused on bringing a really good experience to our students that attend and support their classmates. On November 19th, I took 4, which is on the bottom right. We went to Rochester for the Minnesota State High School League's Together 3.0 Student Conference. You will hear more about that in January. I believe they're coming to talk to you about their experience and what they learned from that day. But it's been super great and I'm excited. I think it's kind of catching on and I'm hoping juniors at the end of this year will apply and lead the next group of bleacher captains. We also had 3 happen to be winter athletes, but they all had signing days in the fall. Elena Kennedy in diving, she will be attending Boston University. Reese Norton, diving, she will be attending Clarion College in Pennsylvania. And Samuel Winkles will be wrestling for St. Cloud State University next year. And just scrolling through the social media pages, we were busy this year. The activities department, you know, they're involved and they want to get out there and make a difference. We had National Honor Society induction. Coach Fadness was inducted into the Coaches Basketball Hall of Fame. The cheer team, they put on a clinic on a Saturday and then they get to, you know, cheer with the Austin High cheerleaders at a game. The National Honor Society, they go trick-or-treating for cans for the Packer Pantry. The top right there is the cross-country team running back from football on homecoming to deliver the football to the football captains. Elena's dive records. We had the state club, or the club bowling team, the state. And then, you know, homecoming, I know we heard about it a few times, but just the change was good. The packing event right there is that aerial shot, and then the band and the cheer team leading us down to Westcott on Friday for the final Pep Fest. We have our homecoming court. We hired a volleyball coach for the boys team. Youth leadership had a blood drive. We have section coaches of the year in the dome. So we've had a lot going on, but it's been super fun to watch and support them. And these kids are driven and they have a lot of great ideas to make big changes for the better for our school. Just some fall stats. 408 fall sports registrations. We have 34 coaches total overall in grades 9 through 12 in all of our programs. 38 people helped work our events, whether it's selling tickets or doing scoreboard or announcing or working concessions. Our fall sports are held in 9 venues. We hosted 40 home events. We had 4 invites this year that we hosted. Volleyball for the first time hosted 2. One date was for lower level, the second date was for JV and varsity. Swim and dive have their annual invite as well as cross country. 2 section coaches of the year and 3 athletic letters of intent signings. Just some things that the activity department is doing around our strategic priorities. The first one, you know, as we've mentioned, GoFan, we've gone digital, or we've added digital. So we have digital ticketing, you can use card, and we still have cash. That has been working really great. We did our homecoming dance with that. We can do prom with it. We did theater. I even let Ellis Theater do digital sales, and we just transferred funds into their account. So it's been going really, really well. Game Time, that is a music streaming service, a platform in which I'm working with, that they have employees that vet these songs and screen them, so we know with 100%, you know, guarantee that the lyrics and the music that's coming from that platform will be appropriate for school events. Scorecard, the SC up at the top there, that's a data analysis program that I'm working with, that's gonna help just analyze our programs, so coaches and I can have good, you know, objective discussions about our teams and how to grow and how to improve. And then just what we're doing at the school, which is this next one. I wanted to give you a sneak peek into our newest initiative, which is the Packer Study Table. We just completed week 1 last week. So our advisor for this, and again, it's having conversations with the coaches about we need the students before we can have the athletes. And, you know, I think it's starting to hit even the kids that what they do in the classroom affects not only themselves, but their team and their coaches and the day-to-day things that they are committing themselves to. So every Thursday I do grade checks. Anybody that's on that grade check list, meaning 2 Fs or more, that following Monday and Wednesday, they are required to go to Packer Study Table for an hour from 3:30 to 4:30. Like I said, Eric Anderson is leading it, and we also have some Austin Aspires facilitators, Teresa Lugo and Johanna Reyes. They come in after school as extra support systems. And depending on how this goes, if there's a need, you know, we have the opportunity to bring in peer tutors if we need to. But after week 1, I mean, it's been a really big success. These pictures are actually from today's session, Monday, today after school. So it's another level of support for them because it's hard to manage being a student, being an athlete, plus everything you got going on at home, and sometimes 30 to 45 minutes of just supported work can be very beneficial. And then Mr. Anderson's doing some great things with Pepper profile work as far as soft skills. When they get in there, they have to go right into their portal, they have to look at their grades, they have to write down their percentages, they look at their attendance, how many times was I tardy, how many times was I absent, and then at the end, and they have to create a goal, what's their goal for the week, what are they gonna try to, improve on? And then before they leave, their exit slip is they have to send an email to their coach, myself and Mr. Anderson, just teaching them that communication skill and follow through. So that's kind of the new initiative for winter, and I'm excited to come back in March or April and give you the winter report. But that's all I have. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
You know what, I'm actually going to put a little timeout on the
Yeah.
questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
Because I want to get our student representatives in. So if you guys have questions for Katie, shoot her an email.
Yep.
Just thank you for all you did.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Yep. Thank you.
Our next agenda item, we're gonna do a little shifteroo here because, one of our student representatives needs to, bug out here in a couple minutes. So our, next agenda item is our student representative reports with Anita Rao and Michael Gary.
Superintendent Page, Chair today, and members of the school board, thank you for the opportunity to present for staff and student report. Today, I'd like to recognize an outstanding achievement within our school community. The AHS band teacher, Christopher Dundas, was honored with Teacher of the Year district. This special moment was made even more memorable when his family surprised him with the reward in class. Mr. Dundas described the recognition as very humbling, and the students were quick to affirm that it was well deserved. They shared how he excelled at connecting them and making the process of learning music both enjoyable and accessible. I'd like to add, I never had him as a teacher, so I asked one of his students today to describe his teaching and what they love about him, and she lit up and said, he can connect any instrument that you've done to one that you're learning, and he's super passionate about music and music theory. Next, I'd like to highlight a meaningful project led by the Social Studies Department in honor of Veterans Day. This year, all social studies teachers at the high school will have their students write heartfelt letters to veterans. These letters were distributed to local VFW posts in the area, in Austin and surrounding areas. While we didn't get to see the veterans' ultimate letters, we are confident that the message we warmly received made a positive impact on all those who received the letters. This month, with Joey Page, we held the second Superintendent Student Advisory Council meeting. During this session, we continued working on identifying the key issues or positive things that we are working on. Students were challenged to think creatively, developing their presentation and communication skills. I'm excited about the potential of this group and look forward to seeing what we can all accomplish together to make the school better. Finally, I want to share a highlight from our music program again. The Austiners and Chorlers have begun performing their holiday repertoire in nursing homes, at local events, and other dinners around the community. This is a very cool time of year for them as they get to show what they've been working for, and the community enjoys seeing them. This concludes the first half of the student report. Any questions?
Are you off to an Austiners performance right now?
Yes.
I've only heard good things about everything this year, so thank you for coming, thanks for making it in, and go have fun.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Anita, you're up next.
Superintendent Page, Chairperson Dubay, and members of the board. My name is Anita Rao, and I am your 12th grade representative for this year. and I will be presenting to you the second half of the student report. A lot is going on at AHS as winter break slowly approaches. Registration for second semester is starting and will end on January 10th, so students need to make final adjustments to their schedules and sign up for their classes. Finals week is hitting AHS students who attend PSEO classes at Riverland as the fall semester wraps up next Friday on the 20th. Winter break for the whole district also starts on December 20th and will be the last day of school in 2023. Students will return to finish out the semester on January 2nd and will end it on the 11th. Winter sports are in full swing with the first boys basketball game taking place this week on Thursday, as well as a boys hockey game senior night last Saturday where they won 7-0 against the Trojans from Worthington. Last week, girls basketball took on Casson and girls gymnastics competed against the Owatonna Huskies. This year, the student section has been putting in the extra effort thanks to our bleacher captains. This is a group of seniors who organize themes for home games and ways to keep the student body active during every sporting event. A new system has been started, as mentioned by Kiwi, where our activities director helps the students understand what it really means to be a student athlete. It is called Sports Study Tables, and it helps the students who may not be succeeding in their courses set aside time in their busy lives to focus on schoolwork. To wrap up the sports update, we had 3 members from the swim and dive team place during the state meet. Gracie Greenman placed 2nd in the 100 backstroke, Reese Norton placed 5th in diving, and Elena Kennedy took home the state championship title for the 2nd year in a row. The high school hosted an essay writing course after school last Wednesday to help prepare seniors to write good applications, not only for college, but the many applications for scholarships headed their way. Earlier in November, AHS sophomore Alani Fairbaum was recognized as the Rotary Student of the Month. She shared her perspective on the importance of creating a good foundation for discovery and the instrumental part education plays in achieving one's goal. Finally, a group of students were selected to attend a meeting in Rochester where they learned about different opportunities for leadership. And then that concludes the second half of the student report. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I need in that essay writing class after school to prepare for writing essays for college applications. Was there a pretty good reception for that?
I was not able to attend it because I was scheduled for work and didn't have enough time to take it off. But one of my friends went to it and she said it helped a lot. It was also nice that they linked it to the school links account so people could see the events happening and could sign up for it through that. So I think it was helpful, especially for people who haven't maybe started that process so they could fully understand what it was entailing.
Good answer.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are going to go back up to agenda item number 6, our public hearing for our truth in taxation, information and public comment. The order is Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Todd Eckenberg.
Okay, just turn around, situated here for a second. Good evening, Chairperson DeVay, Dr. Page, members of the school board. It is my honor to stand in front of you to go through our annual truth in taxation. So as we go through this, please stop me with any questions at that time. As we go through this, our mission is inspire, empower, and accelerate. Our core values are responsible, resilient, learning, and communicator, and contributor. And tonight we're going to talk about a couple of core values: being responsible with the taxpayers' funding and communicating out today exactly what goes into our budget, how this truth in taxation comes about, and how it impacts our taxpayers. And it goes into all 4 of our strategic priorities. So one of the things we look at our desired daily experiences. We look at from the students. They want to come to school to a safe and welcoming environment. And again, as we go through, one of the things is we've got to have the buildings. We've got to take care of the buildings. We've got to employ staff in that. So again, as we go through this truth in taxation, that's what we're looking at from the student side. When we look at the family side of this, it's the same thing. They want their students to come to a safe and welcoming environment. They want teachers employed, they want transportation operating and all that stuff. So again, we're here to walk through that. And finally, when we look at our staff, they have that same thing. The safe and welcoming, being paid, looking at taking care of our curriculum and everything that goes into our budget. So we look at our Packer profiles, Packer core values again. We're looking at responsible. Again, we want to be accountable. We're accountable to the board, but as a board, we're accountable to the taxpayers. And that's what we're here today is to present on this. So the agenda today is we gotta go through some of the meeting requirements. We'll go through our current year budget. We'll go through the proposed tax levy that is actually for school year 2026. So one of the things we talked about is we're gonna present 2025 numbers. We're gonna talk about how the property tax levy that's gonna be paid next year actually impacts the school year from now. And then at the very end, we'll open it up to any public comments. So the requirements of this meeting is gonna happen between November 25th and December 30th. It has to start after 6 p.m. We have to have a discussion about the 2025 budget and talk about the proposed tax levy and then allow for public comments. We went through this slide just to show that public schools, we're funded by three different components. One is the federal government, so you'll hear us talk about title. You heard over the last 4 years us talk about ESSER funding. Also, we have special education that's federally funded. That is in that bucket. Then the middle one is state government. That's where we're a lot of times talking about our state formula, our special education, our enrollment is coming out of that bucket. And then the last one is local fees and local taxpayers. So the tonight is about the local taxpayers in the piece that is our tax levy. We also have the local fees that are donations, the grants we receive, and stuff like that. So again, those are the three parts, with the state of Minnesota being our largest funded source. You'll see in the slides coming up, we kind of break this down and show you how much comes from the state versus how much of our revenue comes from our local taxpayers. One of the slides we spend a lot of time talking about the state formula, our state funding. So we get paid per adjusted daily pupil unit or ADM. And the state legislators have come up with a formula, and right now, in 2025, we're getting paid $7,281 per student. Now, if you look at that, and you look at the inflation, and we all are feeling inflation, if you put the inflation into that, it should be about $8,645. So again, when we look at this, we're about $1,364 below what inflation should be. We put this slide up here to also say, the school district, the board, we're all doing an amazing job with the amount of funding we're getting. It would be nice if the inflation percentage was added onto this, but again, we're gonna get $7,281 per student, and we're gonna move forward and continually provide the services we do. So before I move into the budget, are any any questions about the formula, why we're here today? If not, we'll go through the 2025 budget. You've heard different words on how accounting's done. We do stuff that's called fund accounting, not F-U-N, F-U-N-D. So we have fund accounting, which is general fund, is mainly about 95% of our budget. That's where our transportation, that's where special education, that's where regular instruction, that's where administration, all that goes into it. You'll notice that has an asterisk next to it because that does have a tax levy component. We also have a food service fund, which is a separate fund that has no taxpayer component. We are not able to levy for anything in the food service. That is based off the federal reimbursement rate and the state reimbursement rate. We have community service fund. Again, there's a portion of that we're able to levy based on our census of Austin, our birth to 4 numbers that are submitted every year, and a small components of that. We have a building construction fund or a construction fund. When we have construction going on, we put that in a separate fund because usually that is, has a bond that we've gone out for a referendum on, so we keep that accounting differently. The next fund we have is debt service fund. That fund is the debt payment, so we've gone out, we've got the bond referendum, or we've done a referendum where the voters have approved, and now we have to pay the debt service payment back, that's principal and interest. You'll notice when we go to that, we have to levy 105% of the debt service payment, because if our taxpayers are delinquent, that's okay. We are not allowed to be delinquent on any of our bond payments, principal and interest. So that's why they allow us to levy 5% more. And then they do a calculation of looking where our delinquent payers are. And if we do not have delinquent payers, then they'll take that money back over time. And then the last one is our internal service fund. That is where we are self-insured, so our dental and our health insurance come out of that. So we are collecting premiums, and then we are paying those directly instead of going through a third-party component. So again, general fund, community service fund, and debt service fund will be the ones we talk about tonight with our tax levy component. Last month, you guys heard our auditors up here, and they went through the 2024 actual fund balance results, and those are sitting right here. Those were approved. And again, we are very lucky to have our enrollment continually growing and stuff like that, so we had a very positive fund balance. Over on the far right is the budget that you guys would have approved in June of 2024. We are now currently in the process of revising that budget based on now knowing our enrollment, now knowing some of the costs, our staffing and that. So we'll be in front of you at the end of January for a draft presentation, and then in front of you guys again in February to approve the revised budget. So again, I know that's really small. One of the questions that's out there is, we approved a budget of 113 million, Todd. This shows about 99 million. You'll notice there's a couple things that are grayed out in there. That is MDE's form, and we're not allowed to put our health insurance and our dental insurance claims information in there. This is their form. We're required to fill it out a certain way. So that's why this does not tie to the budget you would have approved if you looked into that. As we look at our revenue, right now that bluish color is 77.56%. That's from the state of Minnesota. That is enrollment based, that is special education. That's why when we're in front of you talking about our budget, we're always talking about future years and where's our enrollment going. Having Corey on our team is amazing. He's got the data. We're able to look at where our students are each week, and that helps us out. Tonight, when we go through the property taxes, we're talking about 7.92% of the revenue that the district received comes from this tax levy that we're gonna present tonight. And then we got some federal funds that we talk about, title, ESSER, and that. So then we look at where does our money go? And again, this is part of the presentation we give, is you look at regular, vocational, and special education, that is direct instructional. So that adds up to about 65%. Every dollar we receive goes into instructing our students, but the regular, special, and vocational is direct instructional. And the other thing I want to point out here is if you look at our admin, and this was highlighted in our audit presentation, that currently our admin is at 3.59%. That is low compared to districts of our size. So again, we're continually putting the money towards the instruction of the student. One of the highlights is, we go through a lot of numbers, but I get to spend a little bit of time here talking about the amazing team that I have. And you guys heard about them at the last board meeting. Our bond rating is A1. That is very important. So as we go out and we look at doing referendums and that, we get rated no different than you guys have our personal credit reports and scores. That's ours. So again, we're an A1. When you look at that, the school district plays a part in that. The residential income of our population plays a part into that, and the value of our homes play a part into that. So again, we consistently work towards trying to get that better. We received the 2024 MDE School Finance Award, and we've received that the last 8 straight years. So that goes to the amazing team in the finance department that continually works hard to ensure we are meeting the audit requirements that go into that. Just highlighting our audit results because we can't talk enough about them. We got a clean audit, unmodified opinion, and again, one of the things we strive here is to bring a fund balance to you guys that is above our current board approved fund balance. So we've done that the last 3 years, and we're continually working to strive to that. So again, that goes into your leadership, Dr. Page's leadership, the amazing administrative team that we have here and all our staff. And again, kudos to the staff that does all the work behind the scenes that helps us earn these awards. So before I slide in and talk about the property tax, I'll just open it up if there's any questions. I know you guys heard our audit last month, so I'll just pause here for a second to see if you guys have any questions. All right, so we're gonna go through the property tax levy now. This isn't just a one meeting. So we start in July and August where the state will open up our information system and we have to provide certain things. We have to submit, you guys approve in June, the long-term facility maintenance 10-year plan. That gets submitted to them. We go through and we look at what our bond payments are gonna be, we submit that up to them when we talk to them. We have to submit our enrollment projections, and this is key, we have to submit them for 26 school year, 27 school year, and 28 school year. So we're projecting out 3 years for them to have a part of this. And then in September, we come back to you guys and we ask you to propose the maximum levy at that time. The reason we do the maximum levy at the time is the state, the county are still working on their stuff, assessing and making changes. So we ask you to do the maximum levy so that we don't have to bring you guys back at the end of September and present or approve another number. Then the state finally provides us a report, then sends out to all the taxpayers in the district a report of what their proposed tax levies are with their assessed value in that. We hold this truth and taxation meeting during this time, the board certifies, and then in May of 2025, in November of 2025, we receive this payment. So we receive it in 2 different payments. A lot of the things we talk about here is to talk through how this is done. A lot of things are driven by our pupil count. Again, as we talked about, we're submitting 3 years in advance. There's certain things, eligibility expenditure types that we get reimbursed. Career and Tech Ed, or CTE, that's something we're getting reimbursed on. Our health insurance, our retiree health insurance is something that is, you'll see on another slide, it's called OPEB. That is something that we spend ahead of time and then we get reimbursed on. There's some things on the population, we talked about the census. There is the voter approved, that would be any bond referendums or operant referendums that have already been approved. And then goes into the property valuations. When we talk about property valuations, that's a county assessor. The school district has no say in those property valuations at all. So how does this all work out? We'll talk about a percentage tonight. Todd, why doesn't my percentage equal to 6.73? There's a lot of things that go into this, but the 3 key variables is, what is the market value? Again, the market value of your house is set by the county assessor. The school district does not play a part into that. And then they go through and state legislators set classification rates on homes. Property, homes, homestead, agriculture, they're setting rates for each one of those that play a part into this. And then the third piece is, what are all the taxing jurisdictions doing? What is the school doing? What is the city doing? What is the county doing? So that all goes into a funnel, and then it kicks out a property tax that is due. One of the things the state does is they look at what our property valuation of our district is and divides it by our students. That bullet item down there is very key. The higher the property valuation per student is, the less state funding we receive on certain things like operating capital, long-term facility maintenance. So we asked PMA, who are our financial advisors, to provide us what has our property value done since 2017. You will notice that the property value for reference market value and net tax capacity has continually increased. So the value of our property in our district is increasing at a higher rate than our student enrollment. Now the blurb in 2023 that spikes up, that was common during that year. So what happens is the county assessor has to value homes at 100 to 105% of what the sales value of the homes are during that time period. So there was that, during that year, homes were skyrocketing. The price of selling homes was skyrocketing. So why we say all this is, our property value is increasing at a higher rate than our student enrollment percentage. So what we're seeing is a shift from state aid helping us out with operating capital and long-term facility maintenance capital to taxpayers having to fund more of that. I say that because when we go through this, there's always shifts. The state plays a shift of what is going to be state aid and what is going to be property taxes. So we're going to show a 6.73% increase in tax levy, but that does not mean that is going to be a one-for-one dollar increase to our budget. Because again, they will shift funding from property taxpayers to state and back and forth based on our property valuation. So here is the numbers. I know we kind of high level talked about this. at the, in the September meeting, our general fund is going up about 10.38%. Some of the bigger numbers is operating referendum. So that was voter approved. And what you're seeing there is an increase twofold. One, we presented, when we did the operating referendum and we would have submitted the levies a couple years ago, we had a lower enrollment. So when I said we project out 3 years, they go back then when those years are finalized and look at our enrollment. Well, we consistently have been conservative in our enrollment projections, so now we're getting adjusting back to when that operating referendum and saying, you had more students than you projected, we're gonna fix that. So that's there going back and forth, so you're seeing that. Your local optional, your equity and transition is all based on enrollment. So as our enrollment continually increases, the funding on the property side continually increases. The big change there is also at OPEB, other post-employment benefits. As I talked before, that's our health insurance. So again, we have retirees that are on our health insurance and we are self-funded health insurance. So it's either, we are able to levy that money and get reimbursed. So that is us looking back at our claims and we saw a significant claim increase. So that's where that 291,000 is coming from. So overall, the general fund is going up about 10.4%. Community service is going up roughly 3.1%. Almost all of community ed is based on the census. You guys every year submit, Jen comes up and submits a new census because we're able to do that. And so as our community grows, the funding also goes with that. Debt service, you see that line on there is called debt excess. That's that 5% extra. So again, as they come and they look and say, well, Austin, you don't have as many delinquent taxpayers, we're now gonna take back $41,000 that we gave you in previous years, and we're gonna reduce that. So overall, as we stand here tonight, we're gonna ask that you guys approve $11,424,682. That's 6.73%. We do understand the current climate. We understand that this is a high percentage, but again, a lot of this is driven by the state based on their formulas. This just kind of goes through the high levels that I kind of talked about, that are operating capital, our OPEB, and then the biggest thing with this is we estimate, and then they come back and fix our estimate. So this is constantly a revolving document. It is right now 45 pages long. So to go through our level. I wanted to put this on here just a high level, explain a home value of $175,000. How does, in an estimated school tax, now what's key here is this is only school tax on this, so $696. How the bottom is the operating referendum that was just approved, about $162 per year is out of that. You got our local, optional, or equity and transition. That's the stuff that right now we get $724 per student. That's making up about $235 on this house. The voter approved bonds, those are building referendums. So as we look at maintenance and stuff like that, it's making up about $73. We have the debt piece is $55, and then our operating capital, our long-term facility maintenance is $171. Now, as I talked before, the long-term facility maintenance, operating capital, that's that shift from state aid to property taxes, and that one depends on our value of our homes. One of the things that went into legislation, and I'm just trying to think of the year this went in, but this was a big win, is we have the Ag to School credit. So right now, of the about $2.6 million of our debt service, about $370,000 is gonna be paid for by the state. So we continually look at this, and it's a breakdown of that. This is a huge win for rural school districts as the state is helping to pay, helping our farmers in that with this tax credit. A couple other things that are coming forward in 2025 is that the homestead market value exclusion is increasing. So before it was a little lower, now it's increased up to $517,200. So that's gonna be a break there for homes that were above that. They're now gonna be, or homes that are above the previous exclusion are now gonna see a little bit of a tax credit. And the agriculture homestead is gonna go from 2.1 million to 3.5 million. So that range from 2.1 to 3.5, those taxpayer owners are gonna see a little bit of a reduction in their property taxes. So I went through that kind of quick. on the slide, there'll be a action item in a little bit here for you guys to certify this amount so that we can move this forward to the county and we can continue moving this process forward. So again, I appreciate the ability to come up here, explain our truth and taxation process and our budget. So I will open it up to any questions that you guys might have.
Very good, well done, Todd, I appreciate it. The one slide early on about state funding, and it had, $7,200, then there was the CPI, adjustment, and then, it really should be 8645, or it could be. But then we got a data sheet a couple months ago that had every school district in the state at 7,200, and this and this and this. By the time we got over here, it was somewhere between 11,000 and 12,000 or 13,000 per student. Where does that money come from?
Great question. So that comes from, this is just the general education piece of a K through 6 student. So when we go to 7-12, it's 1.2 of this, but it also adds in our special education. So it looks at what is our special education expense, because the 7,281 is across all districts in the state of Minnesota. That's the floor. And then as you have students that need special education, that varies between each district. So that adds on to that 7,000. And then compensatory or free and reduced students based on your population, that you get a little extra money. We have transportation sparsity, which is if you are a rural district that's got to drive a bunch of miles and not as many students, you're gonna get a sparsity on that. So there's categorical revenue that adds on top of that. So that's why we talk base of 7,281, because that's every district receives that. And then based on your district's demographics, that can go up to 12, 13, 14. It also plays a part into the operating referendum. Some districts don't have an operating referendum, so that's why we try to stay with this basic one, so we can compare apples and apples across the districts.
Thank you. Like I said a minute ago, I thought you did a great job. I know that you love public speaking.
I like talking numbers.
I do remember though, in a simpler time, and I'm not, don't take this wrong, because I appreciate you're trying to inform me of something I have no idea about, okay? But there was a simpler time when the finance director would stand there and put a chart on the board, or on the whiteboard, or the machine there, and talk, and say, this is what we're gonna do, and what do you think? And we go, okay. And now we just got a 25 slide presentation. What's going on?
Job security. And I'll turn over to Dr. Page if he wants to add anything, but it's getting more and more complicated. Again, we have to deal with what the legislators do, and that's, so we continually learn every year, and we're excited to be tested, and we'll continue.
I just went to the delegate assembly, and I know exactly what you're talking about, but I did say to one of the business directors, there's one person on this board, Greg Larson, who happened to be a certified accountant, that has any idea what you're talking about. And so what I'm saying is, if I don't understand, maybe Joe and Jane Consumer don't either. They just want to know what that number is, how it's going to affect a $175,000 house, and the rest of the stuff, leave it to board work and your staff who do a real good job of dealing with it.
Yes, I agree with this comment, with job security is one of them. The other part here, I think, is us wanting to communicate in our being transparent within the budgeting process. So I think we've worked really hard to do that for the public, to take something that's very complex, that we talk about once a year, and trying to distill that down into, pieces of information that people can understand or ask questions about, because it is their resources, and as stewards of that, it's important for us to be able to speak to them.
Yeah, my suggestion is, we're not distilling it at all, we're making it more, and I believe in transparency, but to learn about the scarcity of transportation funding in Forest Lake, Minnesota, I don't know what that has to do with the regular taxpayer in the community. I appreciate your comments, I think you do a good job explaining it, but I just think it still. Thank you.
I have a question. So you said with the going off for this, the tax thing, you're asking for $11 million more for next year?
I want to go back and clarify, so it's not $11 more, so last year about this time, I stood in front of you, and you guys approved $10,704,000, so what we're asking for is a $720,000 increase. So we're going from $10,700,000 to $11.4 million. So it's not $11 million more, it's roughly about $720,000 more.
Okay, thanks.
It's a very good distinction.
Thank you.
And when you say Todd, typically the school district, Austin Public Schools, our number is lower than other entities typically.
Yeah.
In Moore County.
I'm gonna look to some others as this is, year one for me here, so I'm gonna look to Dr.
I think that's a fair, thanks, Todd. I think that's a fair statement. We're usually relatively lower, with our other tax entities, but again, that's a year by year piece, but we can certainly go back and do the analytics on it. But
I mean,
it's-
historically, I think
Yeah.
we've done a good job.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
Dr. Page, where is the 720 going to? Is that just, like the cost of living increase, inflation, is that what's happening there with that?
Yeah, as Todd showed here, we have our, we have the state that does a 3-year analysis of our funding. They'll reduce funds that we've had before to recapture those, that's part of it. We also have increases in student enrollment that adjust for those numbers as well. And again, levying for the maximum, which we certified in September, I think is important for many reasons. One is we have unpredictable state funding. These are funds that are not coming into the school district this year, they're coming in 2026. So that's one. One is, the other part is meeting the student needs that we have in the Austin Public Schools. We also have infrastructure maintenance that we need to be mindful of, and being able to project out what those needs are in 2026 is really complicated. And then I think also we want to, without adequate funding from a school district perspective, that impacts our programs, our staff. So I think what we have here tonight and what Todd has shared is a good number for us to maintain our programming. All things considered with our enrollment in the future.
Anybody else have questions? Carol?
Thank you for meeting with me today to explain this a little bit more in detail. With the state budget, all the headlines in the news now, do we have any concerns that, the state funding might be reduced even further since we don't know what's gonna happen?
Yeah, you saw, we shared it at our board update this week too, and I think you're referring to the forecast of that. So yeah, they are showing into the future a structural deficit. What that looks like, 3, 4 or 5 months from now remains to be seen. The unpredictability with the state funding, I know Don had shared some of this information from the delegate assembly and we shared with the board, but one of those is the compensatory funding, which there is a lot of funding when it comes to Austin Public Schools and compensatory. They're looking at reestablishing how they do that calculation, and that's something that could have a significant impact for Austin Public Schools.
Thank you.
I want to give everybody time in case there's questions percolating out there. Going once, going twice. Todd, what is our next step?
I believe on the agenda, and I'm not sure, I think it's down a little bit after consent, that you guys we'll have a motion to approve the levy certification. I just wanna thank you guys all for taking the time tonight to listen and ask questions.
Okay. I'm just gonna throw it out there just because. Is there anybody who wants to make a public comment?
I more have a question.
Come on up.
This is more about the math of what you got, when you had the abatement and adjustments up.
Yes.
Yeah, you have a percentage in there that's in the negative
Yep.
thousands.
Yep.
What's going on with that?
Okay, so what that does is, Excel sometimes does some interesting things, and what happened is last year at this time, we got a negative adjustment, and that is, again, looking back the previous 3 years, looking at enrollment, looking at all that stuff, and then this year, we're seeing a positive adjustment, so it's taking a negative number into a positive number, and then, because it's negative and positive, it kicks out a negative number. I apologize, I should have saw that, and probably put an NA on that, that's just a big negative number, but that is all having to do with the adjustments that the state does in their look back period.
So that, just to make sure we're all looking at the same thing, you're looking under the debt redemption fund number 7, is that what you're looking at?
No, it's
Or
this
is it
one right
different
here. Is this 99, this year we received $99,000 positive adjustments, and in '24, we received a negative 1,873. So it's showing, we're going up 101,000, but it's kicking off a negative percent just because of the math that the Excel wants to do there.
Yeah. That's definitely a good call out.
Yes.
All right, any other public comments? All right, thank you. Are there any delegations? Seeing none, we will jump into our superintendent's report with Superintendent Dr. Joe Page.
Thank you, Chair McGay, members of the board. Happy to share my December board report with you tonight. First of all, I just want to welcome Dan Zilke to the school board. Not every school board meeting is the truth in taxation meeting, so. But again, welcome, Dan, to the school board. A few things I want to highlight tonight, and you heard in the student report, but our Austin High School band director, Christoph Dundas, was named the 2025 Austin Teacher of the Year. It was a wonderful occasion, and having his children present the award was really special. And according to the Austin Teacher of the Year Committee Chair, Heather Bruzak, Christoph was one of 29 nominees considered for the award. Now that Christoph has received Austin's Teacher of the Year award, he'll be in the running to be the Minnesota Teacher of the Year. And these nominees for the state award go through a portfolio process and will be selected to move forward. And this has been for 20-year life of the program. Austin has had 2 nominees make it to the semi-finalist stage, and 1 to make it to the final 10. So we wish him well and thank him for all of his wonderful contributions. I also want to thank the Formal Foundation. Recently, the Formal Foundation Board of Directors approved distributions of $26 million for nonprofit agencies in Austin and Moore County. The Austin Public Schools is very thankful for the Formal Foundation's ongoing support. This year, the district received nearly $1.7 million in allocated funds for various programs like technology in the K-12 setting, our REACH program, our Gifted and Talented programs, and professional development, robotics, family literacy initiatives, and support for our music program. So thank you very much to the Formal Foundation. Austin High School has been selected as a recipient of the Mississippi Welders Supply High School Welding Grant. This award will be providing new equipment such as a plasma cutter and welder for our program. It's going to enhance our welding program. This achievement highlights the dedication of our teacher Ryan Stanley, whose efforts for applying for this grant and commitment to offering initiatives like the free summer welding training that he's done for instructors played a key role in his recognition. So we thank him for his efforts, and we're going to have a ceremony here in a couple weeks next week. An Excellent Educator Award. Mark Poppy was recently named the Excellent Educator for KEL-TV. This award is a wonderful acknowledgement of the incredible impact that he's had on our students. And as someone who went through the K-12 system here in Austin Public Schools, I know how these classes like the one that he teaches, are so important for our kids and have a lasting impression. I wish my skills were a little bit better, but I really enjoyed all of those classes that I took. But I want to thank Mr. Poppy for that. We did have our second superintendent student advisory council this past week. During this meeting, our students collaborated in theme stations on brainstorming and refining some of the ideas that they've come up with. So we'll have another meeting here in, I believe February. We haven't set a date yet, but it's been a really good opportunity to work with our students. And then finally, I just want to sincerely thank Evan Sorensen for his dedicated service as a school board member. It's been an honor to serve alongside you. I appreciate everything that you do and done on the school board, for the students, for the staff, and the community of Austin. So thank you very much for your service. Thank you. That is my report.
Any questions?
I'd just like to say that the Southeast Service Cooperative, we do have one welding activity, tournament of some sort. Started last year, and it's really, really popular.
All right. Board reports. Go for it.
Well, kind of keeping what you said earlier, Dr. Page, about school finance, I went to the delegate assembly this past weekend in Minneapolis, Friday night and Saturday, so about 1 o'clock. And Friday night is dinner and a guest speaker, David Schultz from Hamline University. And then Saturday morning, we do the delegate assembly, and it's a rather large ballroom. There are tables, there are areas. We happen to be in area 4. We're in area 4 with Faribault, Owatonna, Casson, Byron, Albert Lee, Hayfield, Blooming Prairie. And there's there's 2 others over in southeast Minnesota. Now multiply this to around the whole state. And St. Paul and Minneapolis have their own area. And so there's 123 participants. There are 130 available spots. 7 didn't get filled. And so we're in the room, sitting around round tables, and there are microphones placed around the area, so that if you wanted to get up and speak about a resolution, you could do that. And there's some people that like speaking, and there's some people that don't like speaking. And there are a lot of people that like to speak. So there are a lot of people that went up to the microphone a lot and talked, but it was a spirited debate, and it was good. But there were 27 resolutions, and if you want some good reading, you're more than welcome to pick this up. Dr. Page did share with you the synopsis of every one of those resolutions. If you want to find out the background or things of that nature, you're more than welcome to do that. If it's okay, I would like to just go over a few. I know it's a long meeting tonight. If I take all these things that impact us, impact our students, our staff, and the taxpayers. There were 28 resolutions. I think 25 of them were approved by the delegate assembly. So that's fairly typical. The first resolution is number 2. It's a really good one, I believe, because we have these capital projects. And you get a bid for something, and you can't get somebody to work on it right away because they're busy doing something, so then you have to rebid it. By that time, it raises in price. And there's a resolution to have it be a 3-week minimum to get that bid, and to also train local individuals to do the inspections. So just think of the money the school district have to waste because of inflation. The next one is a little less earth-shattering, but it basically resolves each carton of milk that a student drinks at lunch is paid for. I might not think this is a big deal, but if you remember a couple years ago, children were shamed for dumping their lunch in the garbage. What's happened in one of these districts is a kid who brings a bag lunch will go in, get the meal, dump it in the garbage, take the milk, and go sit down. Also, there are some students who 65, 75 cents for a carton of milk multiplied times 2 or 3 brothers and sisters in a week could be a financial hardship. So we approved a free carton of milk for students. Next one has to do with cybersecurity. It's resolution number 5. It says there should be a statewide cybersecurity task force, similar to the cell phone task force. And it should have the ability to support and guide students in efforts to secure information and cybersecurity issues. It's serious. Some of the people that testified, it was a nightmarish. Food service funds, I think Todd mentioned that earlier. I think we have $1.6 billion in the food service, and we're basically handcuffed as to what we can do about it with it. This resolution suggests open up the portal a little bit and give more flexibility to districts. Keeping what we said about welding, one resolution was to increase funding for technical education. Another one that might affect us, resolution number 11, was a resolution to minimize the use of grants for school systems. So that might affect us. Let me tell you, I did some research on this. Southeastern Service Cooperative, which I'm a member of, a board member of, 84% of their funding comes from grants. They get no state aid. We get state aid, but then we also can write grants. The whole idea is if you have to write grants, it's labor intensive, it takes away from your educational endeavors. So it's a legitimate thing. We do get some really nice grants, as you just talked about a little while ago, which could be affected by this. It was defeated by it failed to pass. So there will be, according for us anyway, from the School Board Association, no limit on grants. There was a resolution to renew it. If you remember a couple years ago, I believe, or maybe it was last year, Mandy was still here, we were able to pass a operating levy, bond, whatever it was, without going to taxpayers. Okay, this one is a capital project levy, a one-time possibility. And the thing is that 100% of these capital project levies pass. So the whole idea is, why go to taxpayers and ask for permission when you know you're gonna get a pass? That passed. We use the word passed a lot. Here's a resolution to go to the public to find out whether you want to go to a 5-board school library. I don't think we do that, but some districts have 6 members. And it becomes very difficult when you 3 vote this way and we vote this way, and then we're just at a log jam. So there's an Okahanna's example, one of those. Another one, they've been talking a lot about 40 School Week here in the paper recently. Some schools in southeast Minnesota are exploring the idea. I believe Chatfield might be one of them. This one has to do with a voluntary district school pilot program to lengthen the school year. That passed. I thought this was a little bit redundant, but Resolution 21, be it resolved that the Minnesota State School Board urges the legislature to oppose statewide rules and laws regarding cell phones in the school. I thought last fall they gave us permission to make our own rules on it. So even though it's redundant, I think it's telling the legislature just don't, we want local control. It's a big thing up there at the Delegate Assembly, a big thing. Kathy Green was a big local control person, and we probably all are. I must say that I've looked in the newspaper recently, and there have been a lot of schools. Okay, the beginning of the school year, we started a cell phone policy, March 25th, I believe, that's the date, whatever that would be. And now, 15th?
Yeah.
And now, some of these districts are reaching out to the public, reaching out to students, having forums, surveys, coffee times, to find out, are we doing the right thing? Is there something we can do differently? I think that's a great idea. Here's one that affected us recently with a sporting thing in Albert Lea, where somebody came to the school and asked for data dump. This person identified himself, but some places they don't do that. And some, I think it really said Rochester had a $9.5 million data dump. And the whole idea of this resolution is, if you're gonna ask for a data dump, you have to put your legal name down, and if you abandon that information, in other words, if you don't come and check it out and look at it and take it in your personal possession, we can assess you and seek payment from you. So, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of bad players, I believe, who seek a data dump, and then just, they wanna cripple the school. The next one had to do with Minnesota State High School, it had to do with live streaming, and I'm just telling you this right now. If their live stream would be as bad as their streaming of the sporting events that you see on TV, I don't wanna see the live stream. Have you ever noticed that? How bad that is? You watch a football game, the high school league, it's like you're on South Dakota or something. And I'm a product of South Dakota, so I know exactly what that's all about.
Maybe one more.
Yeah. The last one has to do with, it's similar to the cybersecurity, but had to do with artificial intelligence. To come up with a task force, to find ways to navigate artificial intelligence. I don't know if anybody saw 60 Minutes last night, but there was this Amigo, artificial intelligence, and he put this into the Memphis school system, and now granted, they're gonna show you good stuff, but it was really, really interesting how the students and the staff and interacted. It was beautiful. Can I just say two other things? Number one, I was very dismayed. Usually I'm sitting there with a guy from Triton, somebody from Hayfield, a guy from Faribault, somebody from Montana. I get there the other day, one of them, there were 3 delegates from Albert. I felt like I was being held hostage. 3 delegates in that small table from Albert Lea. In closing, I just want to remind you of the Connections program of the college. It's an initiative where community members interact with non-traditional students out of college. Last year was the first year. There were 15 students, 15 community members. This year there's 23 students and there's 16 community members. So they need some help. So if you're interested, it's a beautiful program. You can meet between 12 and 12:15, 12 and 12:45, or 10:15 and 11 o'clock. It's one day a month. You get a lasting relationship with someone. You find out about them. They find out something about you, and it's really. Delegate Assembly is grassroots. This is really grassroots. So I would recommend anybody in this room to do this. It's a good thing. Connections.
Don, who would the contact be in that?
Christy Rooney. Christy Rooney. Thank you very much.
All right, any other board reports? Carol?
I just wanted to talk for a minute about, I've had the privilege of attending the Austin Packer girls hockey games because my buttons are popping. I'm a proud grandma. My granddaughter gets to play on the team. Participation in sports is just so much more than winning. The girls are developing self-esteem, they're learning leadership and communication skills, teamwork, discipline, and developing resilience when things don't go as planned. Corey's gonna help me out for a second and put a photo up first. I just wanna focus on not the score, but look underneath. This is in Albert Lea, and their display actually shows the, shots on goal. 74 shots on goal our goalies, had, and only let 16 goals in, pucks in the net. I thought that was just absolutely phenomenal. That means she stopped 58 shots. And then our girls never gave up. You would have thought the score was 0-0 till that last buzzer rang. They were just phenomenal. And then after the handshakes, this is what the girls did on the ice. In my opinion, that was a class act by both teams. And it shows that there's just so much more to learn from participation in sports than winning. So, thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that echoes a lot of what we heard earlier with Katie's report as well.
Can I just say, I thought you did an excellent article about, that presentation last month.
Thank
That was
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
You put a lot of time into that, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, you did. Your buttons were popping.
Not for that. My granddaughter.
I'm gonna give a more formal update, from the Austin Public Education Foundation. You may have seen the obituary for Jim Hunting Jr., who, was instrumental in starting the, Austin Public Education Foundation. He and his wife, their generous gift, started the Hunting Endowment, which funds all of our teacher grants that we're able to give each year. We only spend the interest each year, and every year, money is added to those endowments, and we just get to continually grow and grow. 25 years ago, the first total amount of grants given was $500, and this last year, between the Hunting Endowment, the Packer Endowment, and another family foundation, the Hirsch family, we're able to give out more than $100,000 in grants to teachers within our school district, which is huge. So my primary reason for bringing this up is to not only thank Jim Hunting for having that vision, amongst others, but also to remind our teachers that grant season is upon us, and if you're thinking about something over Christmas vacation, feel free to submit an application for a grant. We try to provide as many grant opportunities as we can. We have a lot of very generous former teachers who have left, who when they're past, their state leaves significant gifts to the foundation. We're able to give every new teacher to the district a small grant to not only welcome them to Austin, but to help them set up their classroom. So when I hear things like the Hormel Foundation and all their generous gifts to the district, I also think about those individuals who, like the Jim Huntings and the Hirsch Family Foundation, and I'm forgetting her name, Annabelle Benson, the Annabelle Bensons of the world. The generosity of that is overwhelming at times, and it just makes me very, very excited that I get to be part of sharing in the work that they have put in posthumously, and they don't get to see the fruit of that labor and those efforts. And now we get to see things like those tech suits that Alexa brought up. Those were funded through a foundation grant, and I'm gonna just keep saying thank you to the community for their generosity. Thank you to all these individuals who see the need to financially pour into our students. So teachers, let's get going. It's gonna be a fun year. All right. Anybody else? No? Okay. We already had our student representative report, so can I get a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda? Motion by Peggy, second by Evan. I expect to see this from Evan quite a bit tonight. Hint, hint. Hint, hint. All right. Any discussion?
I just wanted to make a comment about the site report, because I think this is just phenomenal and it should be out there. You have the AHS Credit Recovery Program, recovered 74 credits in November, and then the Austin Online Academy and Area Learning Center, September, 23 courses, half a credit each. 93 courses and November was 85. That's just phenomenal, I think.
It's a good call out.
So thank you for that report.
Alright. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Alright, our next agenda item is our request for the approval of the final certified 24 payable 25 levy. This is our action item related to truth and taxation. Do you have more to say? You just want me to do it?
Do you want, I can come up and read it, or go ahead?
Why don't you read it?
Okay.
Because I don't have it in front of me.
So again, we're here with the levy certified by the end of December. So what we're asking tonight is the recommendation of $11,424,681.51, which is a increase of 6.73%. So that is what we're asking for your guys' approval today.
Alright, is there a motion to approve the final certified 24 payable 25 levy? Motion by Dawn. Second by Becky. Any discussion? Alright, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Our next agenda item is our request for the approval of our donations.
Good evening, Chairperson Dubay, Dr. Page, and the rest of the school board. It is my honor to stand in front of you again to go through donations for this month. It is such an honor to be a part of a community that is willing to give not only money but time and effort. So again, all these donations are part of our board policy 706. They meet those requirements, so I will read these off and then ask for approval at the end. VFW, Post 12-1216, $200, AHS band. VFW Post 1216, $100, Clay Target Trap Team. DTK Enterprise, $200, AHS Dance Team. Jim's Excavation, $350, AHS Dance Team. CMP Foods, $350, AHS Dance Team. Gaines People Play, $350, AHS Dance Team. Piggy Blues Barbecue, $350, AHS Dance Team. BTY Trucking LLC, $350, AHS Dance Team. Duffy's BP, $350, AHS Dance Team. Football Booster Club, $2,308.64, AHS Football Team. Ruben and Jennifer Perez, $150, Cross Country Team. Cross Country Parents, $1,825, Cross Country Team. Jacob and Stephanie Zimmerly, $150, AHS Gymnastics Team. Josh Bennixon, give to the Max Daily, $25, APS. Joseph Hoopman, give to the Max Day, $29, APS. Mari Jo Stang, $200, AJ Holton. So again, I want to thank these individuals and apologize for any mispronunciations on that.
Alright, is there a motion to approve the donations? Cool. Motion by Carol, second by CC. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Is that your last one? I think that's your last one. Or do you have more?
I don't know who's doing the combined place.
I gave it to Tony.
Okay, perfect, then I am done.
I mean, you could just stand up there though.
No, I'm good.
All right, our next agenda item is the request for the approval of our combined polling places resolution for 2025. This is an annual request with Superintendent Joey Page.
Thank you, Chair Dubay, members of the board. This combined polling resolution is an annual request. There was a change in state law this year that if we don't have a change in any of our polling places we don't necessarily have to do this, but it's more ceremonial than anything, and I encourage the board to approve it. In case we have a special election, though, it's called, it does not run in conjunction with the statewide election. Combine the polling places allows our staffing and equipment for efficiency at each polling site. And prior to the election being conducted, the school district is required to do a mailing to each household indicating that they're for their polling location. So the recommendation for the board tonight is to approve our annual combined polling places resolution.
Is there a motion to approve the combined polling places? Thanks, Evan. Is there a second? Second by Dan. All right, we got our new first motion. Good job. Last and first, that was awesome. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes.
Are we doing something with
I think he's just here.
I'm just here.
Hanging.
Hello.
That was part of the consent agenda. Yeah. Yep, and that was what we, yeah, we already saw that. We did. Yes. Yeah. I only kind of related to the polling place thing, I do want to say that I heard so many comments of gratitude from teachers and parents for not having school on election day when we have people in and out of our buildings. So excellent decision on the part of the calendar committee. I think that was a good move, and especially when we want our school buildings to be safe, not only for our students, but also for the folks who are coming in to do their voting. I think that was a good decision. I just wanted to share that. All right, meeting reminders. We are not having a study session in December. Our organizational meeting will be held at noon on Monday, January 6th, 2025 in the district office conference room. Our first regular meeting of the year will be held on January 13th, 2025 here in the Annex Recital Hall. All right, Evan, this is your show.
I'll make a motion
Can you make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, can I get a, what?
Can you get a all right, Evan has made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Peggy has seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Evan, for your time. Keep your name clean. Have a good evening, everybody.
It's either me or Rocky, it's gonna be great. I just wanna give you a heads up for that, right? I'm really proud of it, Ella. Yeah, it should be a good story.